Jessica, don't Democrats spend too much time thinking about Trump? I mean, this is why you had so many Democrats saying they were not proud to be an American, because they go to bed thinking about Trump. They wake up thinking about him. Chuck Todd, he can't stop thinking about Trump.
Well, Trump also can't stop talking, and we can't stop covering him. So it's in our faces. But you know that the news cycle is different than it ever was before. 2016 changed that.
In today's video, Jessica Tarlov absolutely destroys this MAGA panel on Fox News The 5. As the country honored veterans and reflected on its history, the bigger question emerged. Has politics become so polarized that even Independence Day can't escape the culture wars? So let's dive in and watch how Jessica Tarlov gives a huge reality check to MAGA on Fox News The 5.
And you know, for whatever reason, some of it is actually legitimate news that needs to be covered, and some of it is just to keep people, you know, clicking the algorithm, the algorithm juicing, and to keep our attention. And then you can put more ads on, and you can do all the stuff, right? And we're all hooked on it, the good and the bad, right? The outrage with Trump works both ways. He is the most animating factor. He's a turnout machine in both directions, and so everyone is benefiting from it. I thought that some of the scenes from the 4th of July were just gorgeous. What Dana is talking about, looking at those veterans. I saw many hundreds of thousands of people turn out, which is different from during the week. Obviously, people wanted to be there for the 4th. They wanted to come and see Donald Trump's speech. I do think, though, that having Freedom 250 versus America 250 was, I would say, a mistake, but it was definitely a choice that Donald Trump made and then allowed for people to say he's taking over the 4th of July. When you have a bipartisan group that is in charge of the holiday, and then you do your own thing, which is very much in service to you, and your speech is laced with patriotism about honoring our heroes and NASA, but also with attacks against your political opponents, which the socialists and communists, he's talking about us, right? It's not an amorphous thing. He's talking about his political enemies, and you're talking about the Save America Act, and that if you just get it passed.
But if you took the Save America Act out, I don't think it was that political. But what you just said is that it goes back to the A block. If he's targeting you, are you the socialists and the communists? He's making a distinction for you. You guys should take him up on it.
Well, I believe that I have. I'm a big believer in capitalism.
Well, you just said that he's attacking his political enemies. Like, if that's not you, if you're not the socialists and the communists, and they're aside, then he's not attacking you.
He is attacking people who are members of my political party writ large.
Well,
they're Democratic Socialists.
That goes back to the A block then.
But that is politics, because we're going to go vote in November for the midterms and again in 2028, and it is the same attack line that they've been using forever.
What struck me about the debate over America's 250th birthday is how difficult it has become to separate patriotism from partisan politics. The 4th of July should be one of the few moments when Americans of all political stripes can celebrate the country's achievements, honor veterans, and reflect on the ideals that brought the nation together. But when national celebrations start to look and sound like campaign rallies, it's understandable why some people feel excluded from an event that's supposed to belong to everyone. The reality is that Democrats aren't less patriotic simply because they criticize the country's leadership or disagree with the direction of the government. In fact, throughout American history, some of the biggest changes have come from people who love the country enough to demand that it live up to its own promises. The civil rights movement, women's suffrage, labor protections, and marriage equality all faced accusations of being un-American before eventually becoming part of the nation's story. Criticism and patriotism have always existed side by side. There's also evidence that political polarization is shaping how Americans view national identity. Recent polling has shown that Republicans and Democrats increasingly define patriotism differently. Conservatives often emphasize symbols like the flag, the military, and national pride, while liberals tend to focus on democratic values, civil liberties, and the country's ability to improve over time. Neither side has a monopoly on loving America. They simply express that attachment in different ways. And while some commentators accuse Democrats of obsessing over Trump, it's impossible to ignore the fact that he remains the dominant figure in American politics nearly a decade after entering the presidential race. He is the leader of one of the two major parties, the sitting president, and someone whose statements drive headlines around the world.
They just say, we're the ones who believe in capitalism, and these yahoos over here, who, by the way, it gets worse than just, calling us communists. You talk about the name calling and asking us about our patriotism. He regularly calls Democrats traitors and scum.
You're talking about that night and that speech, and he didn't do that in that speech.
Well, I think that, I guess I take it personally.
Right, because and then again, that's a choice. And the choice is, if you are not a socialist or if I were a Democrat, if I were Kim Jeffries or Chuck Schumer, I'd be like, damn right, sir. That's right. We're not for communism and we're not for socialism, and take them up on it and run with it. Instead, say, why are you attacking us? These are people in our party. And if that's the case, then they're in your party. And so when Harold or you say, well, they're not really a part of the party, I'm like, well, I don't think we can say that anymore.
Socialists are, but communists are not. And people have said Daria Lisa doesn't have a place in it. And I would also say, past 4th of July celebrations, when like Obama and Biden, they would do it on the South Lawn, have 5,000 people. There would be military members and service members, turning it into what is a rally. The same thing happened at the Teddy Roosevelt at the library there, where he also talked about the Save America Act, and that Republicans wouldn't lose an election for 100 years is inherently politicizing.
And he's going to be president for 100 years.
It feels like that.
They're going to reanimate him. He's going to live. He's Lazarus. He's never going away. You'll have to force him out with tanks and generals and smelling salts, and he's still going to stay, and he's still going to be president. And J.D. Vance is his love child. These are all the things that Democrats torture themselves with, and it's a losing proposition. This is why socialists are winning. This is why socialists/communists are winning, because Democrats have ceded all the territory to being terrified of Donald Trump, who is not going to be president after 2 years. He will no longer be president. But that's all you can talk about. That's all you can think about. That's all you hyperfixate on. And I was wondering when this was going to manifest, because I knew this was secretly driving them crazy, that he gets to be president during 250, which is a big deal. That's why you don't have it on the South Lawn. You have it as big as possible, with as many fireworks and as many veterans watching in these phenomenal places, creating pictures that you cannot replicate under any circumstances ever again. And that's great. That's what 250 should be. Go big or go home. Guess what? This is your home, and we love you here. To Joey's point, if you disagree with us, America is still an awesome place, and it's an awesome place for you. And guess what? You have the opportunity to make it even better. And if you don't want to think about Trump, don't think about Trump. Right. Stay off social media. We went to a Yankees game. There was some horrible baseball, but my goodness, the veterans, the flags, the YMCA, it was all there, and no one was talking about Trump. Right. And I looked like a rodeo clown, and it was one of the best days of my life. Outside of politics completely, you can do it.
The idea that Democrats spend too much time thinking about Trump also misses a bigger reality. When one person dominates every political headline, reshapes an entire party, and influences debates on everything from immigration to foreign policy, people are naturally going to react to that. Ronald Reagan shaped politics for decades after leaving office. Franklin Roosevelt did the same. Trump's influence isn't a media invention. It's simply the reality of modern American politics. What's interesting is that younger voters are increasingly frustrated, not because they hate America, but because they feel locked out of the traditional American dream. Home ownership rates among younger generations remain far below what their parents experienced at the same age. Student debt continues to weigh heavily on millions of Americans, and wages have struggled to keep pace with housing and healthcare costs. When people raise those concerns, it's not evidence that they reject the country. It's evidence that they want the promises of opportunity and economic mobility to actually work for everyone. And historically, 4th of July celebrations have usually tried to emphasize unity rather than partisan identity. Presidents from both parties have hosted events focused on veterans, military families, and civic organizations without explicitly framing the holiday around political enemies. The country's 250th anniversary is a once-in-a-generation event. It should be about honoring the people who built America, from the soldiers who fought overseas to the immigrants who came through Ellis Island, not about deciding which political party is more patriotic. There's also a reason why so many Americans feel exhausted by the endless culture war. Polls consistently show that voters care far more about kitchen table issues housing costs, healthcare, wages, and public safety than they do about labels like socialist or communist.